Even before I became a vegan, I loved salads. And when I became a vegan, the thought of giving up ranch salad dressing was hard. But I found a really good alternative, a vegan ranch dressing, and I want to show you how to make it today. It's really simple, it's really delicious, you can tweak it to your own taste, and I want to just show you how simple it is to make something delicious out of very simple and basic ingredients. Let me show you what it's made of. Who could imagine that just putting these simple things together could make something so delicious as to taste like ranch dressing? It does. I make this with tofu. I use a large brick. They come in the store. I think they call it the, I forget what, they don't call it the Tetra Pak. That's what those boxes of milk come in. I can't think, but anyway, you've seen them. They're in the grocery store section, in the produce section. I use non-GMO organic tofu, and a lot of people are concerned about using too much tofu, and I can understand that concern because of the phytoestrogens in tofu, in soybeans. But it's really a safe thing to do, because when you consider the fact that when you tie up your estrogen receptors in the body with the weaker phytoestrogens, the stronger xenoestrogens that come from things like plastic in the environment can't bind to those estrogen receptor sites in the body. And that's a protection for women against breast cancer. So even though you don't want to use too much of it if in a cancer that, say, is estrogen driven, a little bit can be very beneficial. And so I like to boil my tofu for about 20 minutes. That makes it a little bit easier to digest. And so this has already been boiled and cooled so that I can handle it. I'm going to go ahead and put this all in my blender. I've cut it into small blocks, you can see here, so that the blender can catch it a little bit easier. So I'm going to put the whole block in there. And my other ingredients, the key to making this taste really delicious to me is the garlic, the lemon juice, and a little bit of cayenne. Now, this recipe calls for 1.25 teaspoons of salt, a tablespoon of onion powder. I like to put dill in it, but some people would put, I don't know, maybe parsley or something like that in it. I personally like dill in mine. I've mixed the salt, onion powder, and dill in this little cup right here already. It calls for extra virgin olive oil. You want to drizzle this in once you get the tofu whirling in a little vertex. So I'll add that a little bit later. It calls for about 1/2 cup of, I use rice milk. I think I showed you on the video where I made vegan butter. This is the rice milk that I use. And again, the reason that I use this is because in the ingredients there are no excitotoxins. You can also make your own milk out of cashews or almonds or what have you. Now, the cayenne that I use is not the namby-pamby stuff you buy from the grocery store. The stuff you buy from the grocery store is 40,000 heat units. That actually is a stomach irritant. But if you use at least a 90,000 heat unit cayenne, not only is it not a stomach irritant, it's actually very beneficial. I could do a whole video on cayenne. Now, your pinch may be a little bigger than my pinch. I like my ranch dressing to have a little kick to it, so I just put a pinch of cayenne. Just user beware. Lemon juice, that's another key. That having enough tang to it also helps with the vegan ranch. So I'm going to combine my ingredients here in the blender, and then I'm going to start a vortex in there, and then I will drizzle in the oil, and I'm going to help it with my handy spatula. But again, I showed you if you get too close to the blades, it'll chop up your spatula, so you have to be kind of careful. I've just trimmed the end off of this, so if you do happen to hit it and nick it, you can just trim the end off. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and combine everything, and then we'll get the blender going. I'm going to show you, I'll put the pinch of cayenne in. Here, I'll just do that now, so you can see it's not much that I put in there. Now, that's 90,000 heat units. That's one pinch. That's probably what you would do but this is what I would do. I like a little kick. Another key I will mention with the vegan ranch is the garlic. I don't use garlic powder, I use garlic cloves. Now in this recipe, I don't know if you saw the ones that I used. I can pick this one out. This is a fairly large clove of garlic. I used this one and I had 2 smaller ones. I have been known to put even more, but others have to eat this too. Now, I will say with the milk, the recipe calls for about a half a cup. You may need a little more, you may need a little less, just depending on what consistency you want your dressing. I've got a little bit over a half cup here, and I may have to use just a little bit more. Again, my recipes are not rocket science. You can tweak it to your taste. So I've got almost everything in here. I'm just going to pour my milk in. I'm going to go ahead and pour it all because I know that I'm going to need at least that much. And we'll get going here. Hearing protection. Okay, this is a very creamy consistency. If you like your dressing a little bit thinner, just add a little bit more milk, or you can even use water. Bear in mind that the more liquid you add, you may have to increase your seasonings just slightly. Anyway, needs a little cayenne.